Let's start with a big question. What exactly is a sacred text? I mean, is it a message that was delivered once, perfect and complete, and then kind of frozen in time? Or is it something more? Something that continues to speak, to unfold, and to live? Today, we're diving into a fascinating paper that tackles this very question, using the Quran as its focus. The author kicks things off with this beautiful line from Rumi, and it's a perfect way to set the stage. It suggests that real meaning, real understanding, it doesn't come from things that are simple and flawless. It comes from the tensions, the complexities, the very places that seem paradoxical or even broken. And right away, we're hit with the central paradox of a text like the Quran. On the one hand, it claims a timeless divine origin, but on the other, it was revealed in a very specific time and place, using human language. So how on earth do you reconcile those two things? Yeah, the text really does exist between these worlds, the eternal and the historical, the divine and the human. And for centuries, scholars have been trying to figure this out, usually from two very different and often clashing perspectives. Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got the traditional theological view. This perspective says the Quran is perfectly preserved, it's static, a direct, unchanged message from God. Then, on the other side, you have the critical historical view, which sees it as a much more fluid text, something that evolved and was really shaped by its human and historical context. And this isn't just some small academic disagreement, right? This difference has created a major divide, a fundamental conflict between faith and history that has literally shaped how people have studied this text for centuries. This Rumi quote just nails the result of that divide. Depending on which lens you're looking through, theology or history, you see a completely different book. The exact same words can reflect a totally different reality back at you. So here's the million-dollar question. Can we get past this binary? Is there a way to see the Quran as both divine and historical, as transcendent and evolving? Well, the paper we're exploring today argues that yes, there absolutely is. And it does this by proposing a brand new framework, something called the theory of resonance. Now, this isn't about finding a lazy compromise. It's a completely different way of thinking about what revelation even is. So what is resonance? Well, forget the idea of revelation as a one-time delivery of a message that's now sealed shut. Instead, think of it as a living, rhythmic process. It's like an echo that keeps moving between the divine word, the world around us, and our own consciousness as we engage with it. Okay, so how do we actually see this resonance in action? The author gives us three different lenses to look through. First, by looking at how the Quran is in conversation with earlier Jewish and Christian traditions. Second, by diving deep into its symbolic inward meanings. And third, by focusing on revelation as a real lived experience, something that happens between the text and the reader. All right, so a theory is one thing, but where's the proof, right? Well, the paper presents this incredibly powerful case study, what it calls a perfect echo of the Quran's voice that showed up almost right after the time of the prophet. And that example is the Nahj al-Balāgha, which translates to the peak of eloquence. It's a really famous collection of sermons, letters, and sayings that are attributed to ʿAlī ibn Abi Talib, who was the cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad. Now, this is the really critical part. The paper argues the Nahj al-Balāgha isn't just a book about the Quran. It's a resonant extension of the Quran. It's not just explaining the message, it's actively continuing its voice, its spirit, and even its style. Let's look at a concrete example. The Quran makes this incredibly clear, powerful statement. He is Allah, one. Pretty simple. But then the Nahj al-Balāgha takes that core idea and just blows it wide open, explaining that this oneness isn't about the number one, but about a state of being that's beyond numbers altogether. It's a perfect echo that deepens the original sound. Or here's another one. The Quran gives this broad command for justice. The Nahj al-Balāgha takes that principle and applies it directly to the real world of governance. It transforms a big theological idea into a powerful, practical command for how a leader should act. You can just feel how one flows directly out of the other. And what's so cool is that this resonance isn't just about the ideas. It's baked into the style itself. The Nahj al-Balāgha uses the same literary tools you find in the Quran, that beautiful rhythmic prose, those deep metaphors pulled from nature, and even a similar way of building an argument. It really feels like you're listening to a continuation of the same spiritual performance. So, what does all this mean? I mean, if a text from the 7th century can be a resonant extension of the Quran, well, that implies something pretty profound about what revelation is in the first place. It suggests it didn't just stop. This Rumi quote really helps us grasp the bigger picture here. Just like splitting a tiny atom can reveal this massive hidden source of energy, looking deeper into the nature of a text can unlock this brilliant, immense source of meaning we might not have seen before. And that, right there, is the heart of it all. The big takeaway from this theory is that the divine word isn't some static artifact locked away in the 7th century. It is a living thing. And revelation becomes this ongoing process that we actually get to participate in every time we read, reflect, and try to understand. And this is a huge deal. Why does it matter? Well, for one, it completely challenges that old idea of Scripture being a closed book. It gives us a way to understand how different, sincere interpretations can all exist. And, beautifully, it moves us beyond that old, tired fight between divine and human authorship, suggesting they actually work together in this resonant dance. Revelation becomes an encounter that awakens us. So in the end, this whole perspective just transforms how we might see a sacred text. The Quran becomes more than just scripture, it's a mirror for our own spiritual journey. It's a text that doesn't just hold old revelations, but one that continues to reveal, precisely because it continues to live. And maybe that's the best way to leave it, with this final, stunning idea from Rumi. Perhaps the true nature of revelation just can't be pinned down by simple words or rigid rules. Maybe, at its heart, it's a force so powerful, like love, that it breaks open any container we try to put it in, so it can just keep echoing and resonating forever.